Hello class, today I'll be talking about plastic pollution. So, plastic pollution poses an environmental and health threat, therefore it must be addressed. This will be my main point. In my presentation I'll discuss plastic and how it's connected to pollution happening all around the world. Then I will talk about the main causes for plastic pollution, and finally I'll explain how plastic pollution affects our health and the environment, and suggest ways we can possibly go about eliminating plastic pollution. So firstly, what is plastic? Plastic is a synthetic material made from polymers, usually derived from crude oil and natural gas. Plastic pollution refers to the accumulation of plastic materials in the environment. According to Kate Helmer in her academic blog published 2023, she states over 400 million tons of plastic is produced each year worldwide, and half of that is single use. So plastic waste is choking our oceans, harming wildlife, and threatening ecosystems. We cannot just ignore the urgency of this matter any longer. Now that you know about plastic and how it's connected to the pollution around the world, we'll now look into the causes of plastic pollution. One cause being single-use plastics, which is the extensive use of disposable items like bottles, bags, and packaging, which contributes to plastic pollution. Another being improper disposal, meaning improper waste management, littering, and illegal dumping. Another being inadequate recycling. Another being microplastics, which is when larger plastics break down into tiny particles and get into our environment. And another being commercial fishing gear, often lost and abandoned or discarded, which is also known as ghost gear, which also contributes to a substantial portion of marine plastic pollution. Another being the industrial processes, meaning the pollution caused from the plastic pollution of plastic production. Next being rainwater runoff, meaning when rainwater usually carries plastic debris from streets and urban areas into rivers and oceans. So now that you know about how some of the causes of plastic pollution, let me explain how plastic pollution affects our health and environment, and also suggest ways we can go about eliminating plastic pollution. So what are the impacts on the environment and health? One being toxic chemicals. Plastics release harmful chemicals such as bisphenol A, known as BPA, which can leach into water and food sources, potentially causing issues in humans. According to Bita Shimwa, in her scholarly journal published 2023, she states plastic products and plastic waste threaten human health because of their toxicity, their role in disease propagation, possible interference with food supply through their environmental effect, and socioeconomic impact. Another problem is ingestion. According to Kumar Shulir, in his academic journal published 2023, he states plastic pollution of aquatic ecosystems is a growing environmental problem, meaning marine life and animals often mistake plastic particles for food, which leads to ingestion. This can lead to internal injury, blockages, and bioaccumulation of toxins throughout the food chain, which can pose risks to human health when consumed. Another problem is air pollution. Burning plastic releases toxic fumes, which contributes to respiratory problems. Impacts on the environment would be ecosystem disruption, which comes from plastics pollution disrupting ecosystems by altering habitat and affecting biodiversity. And lastly, soil contamination, when plastic contaminates soil, which can hinder plant growth. So possible solutions would be reduce single-use plastics, which would be to encourage the use of alternatives and promote reusable items. Another would be to improve recycling systems, meaning to invest in efficient recycling infrastructure. Another would be legislation and policy, which according to Diane Zoe in her scholarly journal published in 2023, she said that we should develop policies that reduce plastic consumption and waste, which means enforcing and implementing strict regulations on production, use, and disposal of plastics can help reduce the plastic's environmental impact. Another would be promote eco-friendly alternatives, which means the development and use of sustainable materials that are biodegradable, compostable. But according to Nayak, in her academic magazine and Chemical Industry Digest, published June June 2023, she states there is evidence that alternatives to plastic have very large carbon footprint. And also, according to Sandra, in her academic journal in PLOS Biology, Volume 21, she states biodegradable or composable does not mean that it can be thrown away anywhere or and will just disappear. It means that it has to be disposed of properly. So this means that while eco-friendly sounds much better than plastic, there are still ways to go in its development. Another solution would be public awareness and education, which would be to increase awareness about the environmental consequences of plastic. And another would be international collaboration, which would be a global cooperation to address plastic pollution. Lastly, another would be research and development, to invest research for alternative materials and technologies that can help the impact of plastics. Given all this, I believe that tackling plastic pollution demands a multifaceted approach, each of which has their pros and cons, but by embracing all of these solutions collectively, we can ensure a cleaner, healthier planet for generations to come. As you can see, the various negative impacts of plastic pollution must be addressed for the good of our health and the planet's health. So in summary, in my presentation, I talked about plastic and how it's connected and contributes to plastic pollution happening all around the world. Then talked about the main causes for plastic pollution, and finally I explained how plastic pollution is caused and ways to go about to solve the problem. Thank you for listening. That is my presentation.